Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. A little update from the Ukraine front. We have the Russians advancing. We have the Ukrainians hitting another military plant in Moscow region. The Russians they're pushing forward and they try to establish a foothold by Toretsk. I will show you all these maps, and there's no Russian threat of breakthrough in Kharkiv region. So let's start with the first topic, or the first article coming from Sputnik. Russian forces take control of Alekseevka and Petrovskogo settlements in DPR. We can find them in this area. This is the map of Ukraine. And I'm talking about right here, Alekseevka. This is where the Russians are advancing towards the border with Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. This is Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Here, this is Zaporozhye Oblast. This is Donetsk Oblast. So the Russians are advancing here in this area. On a big scheme of things, they are right here. Right? All right. So that's the first one. Second one, Ukrinform. The 12th of June 2025, Ukrainian forces hit high-value Rezonit military factory near Moscow. The Rezonit plant in Moscow region, which was struck by Ukraine's defense forces in the early hours of Thursday, June 12, was involved in manufacturing components for Russian missiles and UAVs. That's the first one. Ukrainian drones hit Rezonit circuit board plant in Moscow Oblast. Where is that located? I will show you. You go to Moscow and is exactly here. So from here, these guys hit, according to them, Moscow region. They destroyed something in this area. This is the factory over here. In a big scheme of things, as I indicated, in the northeast of Ukraine. All right, next. According to Ukrinform, this is, again, from today, the 12th. Russian forces attempting to seize foothold near Orikhiv military. On the Orikhiv front, Russian forces are conducting assault operations near the settlements of Mala Tokmachka, Stepovye, and Lepkovye. They are also trying to break through Ukrainian defenses to secure a foothold near Orikhiv. Where is that located? Ram pam pam, right here. Let's close this. Let's make it like this. So the Russians are trying to break through in here. Where is that located? All right. Gonna go down a little bit in here. Maya Kamchatka. This is in the area of Zaporozhye Oblast. So let's see where that is located. Gonna go down here. This is in this right here. This is where the Russians are trying to create a foothold. Right here. This is the town we're talking about. Orikhiv. Orikhiv. This is it. Mala Tokmachka. It's next to it. So the Russians are trying to get a foothold on this area, which is again located right here on the Zaporozhye front. Right. This is Zaporozhye Oblast. This is Donetsk Oblast. This is Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. This is the Sea of Azov. So they are talking about this area in here, trying to create a foothold. Well, they're advancing. They want to take Zaporozhye, obviously. Next, Ukrinform. The same date, 12/06/2025. Russian pushing towards Dyliivka, Yablunivka in Toretsk sector. I'm going to go with Dyliivka, right here. And Toretsk is south of it. So I'm going to show you a different map. So remember Toretsk here, this is Jevchuk, and this is Bakhmut, Chassis Vyar. So I'm going to show you on the map, this little thing here, right here, is located right here, Chassis Vyar. Right here, Chassis Vyar, this right here is Toretsk, and they're talking about this area in here. So this is where the Russians are pushing here. Of course, they want to go to Konstantinovka in here. All right, next. Ukrinform, the same date of 12th of June 2025. No threat of frontline breakthrough in Kharkiv region. Russian forces suffering heavy losses. Kharkov region is in the far east of Ukraine, and that is located, they say. When this happens, probably this is Kharkov Oblast. When this usually happens, that means the Russians are breaking through somewhere. My experience, I heard them saying so many times, and that's the hint for me. So this is the city of Kharkiv. This is the border with Russia per se. This is the new border right here. This right here is Luhansk. This is Kharkov, and this is Kupiansk. The Russians are at the borders of Kupiansk. They're gonna encircle it. That's the plan right here. So this is at the suburbs, and eventually they want to get probably to Kharkov. They're advancing here and here, maybe just have the Ukrainians or NATO being broken in more fronts, because the Russians are not only in Kharkiv, they are also in Sumy, going towards Sumy. So the Russians are trying to get these guys, their attentions in Sumy, in Kharkiv, and where is Kharkiv the city, and Kupiansk, and now obviously on the entire front line. We talked about Zaporozhye area, we talked about Toretsk area, we talked about this south area where these guys are advancing towards Dnipropetrovsk, right here, Alekseevka in here. So from previous reports and the way the Ukrainians give us the information, usually when things are already done, they say that the situation on blah 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 front is dynamic or tense. These are the words they use: dynamic, tense, or something like that. When you hear that, when you read that, that means the Russians already took over of that particular objective. It's just that these guys are preparing the public, slowly, so it's not too shocking. So when they say there's no threat of any breakthrough, probably the Russians already are conducting a breakthrough operation over there somewhere, but they tell you, don't worry. Why? In 2 days, in 48 hours, they will come and tell you within, the Russians crossed the river, or and you say, didn't you say yesterday that it's dynamic? So the Russians, these are news, pieces of news coming from the Ukrainians, not from the Russians. All of them said, we, the Ukrainians, either stop them, are preventing them from establishing a foothold somewhere, or the Russians advanced. They took over. It was the Russian media as well, Sputnik over there, where they say they captured 2 settlements. But do you see anything here where the Ukrainians are winning? Pushing the Russians back? They're on total defense mode right now. And that's why they try to negotiate by what? By hitting targets successfully, Russian targets deep inside Russia. There's 5 airfields struck and the strategic bombers damaged, some of them destroyed. So, do you think the Russians would negotiate from a weak standpoint, or they are the initiators, the guys on the offensive? They don't need to negotiate at this point. So if you want to negotiate, you're going to negotiate based on my memorandum, which is my terms. And my terms are a unconditional surrender. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.